Boa noite. Ele estabeleceu os conceitos básicos que deram origem aos programas de navegação na internet. Criador dos termos hipertexto e hipermídia nos anos 60, fez também o primeiro software da história com links, essas ferramentas que ampliam a busca de conteúdos na rede mundial de computadores. Mas para ele, os programas de navegação ficaram limitados e ultrapassados. A busca de conteúdos precisa ser mais simples, mais inteligente. E o grafismo da internet tem que passar, sim, por uma revolução. Esse é o tema de hoje no Roda Viva. O nosso entrevistado é o filósofo e sociólogo americano Theodore Nelson. Há 50 anos ele se dedica ao estudo dos programas de interação entre pessoas e computadores. Theodore Nelson tornou-se um crítico do mundo onde as coisas acontecem segundo o seu rumo, sem muito questionamento. Para ele, os informáticos não entendem de computadores, entendem da técnica, mas não do significado dos computadores. O lema dele é que uma interface deveria ser tão simples que um iniciante, em qualquer situação de emergência, não gastasse mais do que 10 segundos para entendê-la. Para entrevistar o sociólogo Theodore Nelson, nós convidamos José Roberto Toledo, diretor da Prima Página e coordenador de projetos e cursos da Abrage, Associação Brasileira de Jornalismo Investigativo. Márcio Simões, diretor de redação da revista Informática Hoje. Verônica Couto, editora executiva da revista A Rede. Otávio Dias, editor do caderno Link do jornal Estado de São Paulo e do Jornal da Tarde. Rodolfo Lucena, editor do caderno Informática da Folha de São Paulo e editor do blog de tecnologia Circuito Integrado da Folha Online. Silvia Valadares, gerente de marketing do Porto Digital do Recife, em Pernambuco. Eduardo Vieira, repórter especial da revista Época. E Rodrigo Mesquita, sócio-diretor da Radium Systems, que tem a rede social Piabirus. Temos também a participação do cartunista Paulo Caruso, registrando em seus desenhos os momentos e os flagrantes do programa. O Roda Viva é transmitido em rede nacional de TV para todo o Brasil. Como o programa de hoje está sendo gravado, ele não permite a participação do telespectador. Mas você pode mandar, e deve, aliás, o seu e-mail com a sua crítica, a sua sugestão, o seu comentário, pela página do programa. O endereço está aí na telinha, é www.tvcultura.com.br/Roda Viva. Bem, boa noite. Queria começar pelo seguinte, eu sempre fui um fã de ficção científica, li muito sobre isso. E muitas das coisas que existem hoje no mundo, a ficção científica antecipou. Apenas uma delas, que eu saiba, não foi antecipada. A rede mundial de computadores. Por causa, de um lado, dos circuitos integrados, microcircuitos, mas também por causa de algo que o senhor critica e contesta, que é a rede www. Eu queria que o senhor me explicasse por que é que o senhor critica isso e mais. Se o senhor acha que se não existisse essa rede, haveria essa integração tão grande?
Well, first of all, no one expected the internet. Science fiction writers did not expect the internet. Computer people did not expect the internet. When I started in computers, the only thing I knew was that there would be some form of data communication, but that it would be free and carried out on this strange basis by many different providers across the world. No one imagined that, not even the people who created it. Because originally it connected a few universities, and those who created it did not see that kind of expansion. So the internet is like the ocean. It's a system of communication. The World Wide Web is like ferry boats on the ocean. It's just one kind of communication that the internet carries, but it's the kind that everyone sees, because no one sees the internet and all the thousands of forms of communication.
Mas não há uma quantidade muito grande de ferry boats que faz justamente com que isso seja tão popular? Quer dizer, se a gente tivesse várias coisas ao mesmo tempo, porém de formas diferentes, seria possível que eu me comunicasse aqui com alguém do outro lado do mundo instantaneamente e captasse os documentos dele, por exemplo?
Of course. Well, you see, there are many forms of communication, like Skype, for example, allows free telephone calls. That's not the World Wide Web. There are the FTP, which transfers files. That's not the World Wide Web. There are thousands of other protocols that are not the World Wide Web. But we see the World Wide Web because that's the one which has become popular. Now, that was originally created by Tim Berners-Lee in Switzerland, but it was two boys in the state of Illinois that made it what it is today with the browser. So the browser of the internet, of the World Wide Web, is what creates the standard. And Mr. Berners-Lee now administers that standard. And unfortunately, from my point of view, it cannot do any of the things that I think are important. Especially, you cannot create a document made of pieces from different places. You cannot purchase content from a provider in small amounts. You cannot follow links in both directions. The browser determines what the web is, and the browser is one fixed way of thinking about communication. So while it has given us many things, and I don't want to be too critical because I use it all the time, at the same time I want to see a deeper form of document that is not possible on the web.
Mr. Taib, é inegável a crítica que o senhor faz ao sistema atual de comunicação através da web, os links quebrados que não levam a lugar algum, isso, sem dúvida, não tem como não concordar. Agora, o senhor acha possível, nos dias de hoje, com centenas de milhões de internautas habituados a um tipo de navegação, quebrar esse paradigma?
Paradigms change all the time. And we don't see them change because everyone who is in the old paradigm doesn't see the new one coming. So everyone in the old paradigm always sees the world as it is. As someone once said, science changes one funeral at a time. So the old points of view never change, they simply die away. Now, I don't think the web will ever die away because it is now so fixed. But I believe that other things will come, just as we now have chat. We now have voice over IP and Skype. We now have many other forms of communication separate from the web, so that and we have email, for God's sake, which is the greatest, I think, volume. All of these things are different forms of communication, so there will be more.
Second Life, por exemplo?
Second Life. Well, Second Life is amusing. I don't really see the importance of it, but it's kind of fun for half an hour, is my point of view.
Mas quais seriam as forças, então, que poderiam trazer esse processo de mudança para a internet? Seriam os usuários, os próprios internautas, empresas, governos? Que forças poderiam levar a essa mudança de paradigma?
Well, the Internet will not change. The Internet is the TCP/IP protocol that allows thousands of other forms of communication to occur. Whether the web will change, well, you see it changing every year. Remember, there was no flash. Remember, there were no frames. All of these things are continuing to be added to the present system. And do you remember when there was no spyware? Now, every day, I have to clean the spyware off my computer that has come in through holes in the web browser, through JavaScript trapdoors. So all of these things are in continuous change. To introduce new standards is easy. For them to become popular is a different problem.
Existe algum grupo de pessoas usando as suas criações, os seus programas, as suas interfaces? Existe um grupo estabelecido que poderia crescer a partir desse uso? Divulgar suas criações a partir desse grupo?
Not yet. No, I'm just about to release the software. Sometime this year, I hope.
O senhor desenvolveu toda uma teoria semântica do princípio da internet há 40 anos, 4 décadas atrás. O senhor imaginava as consequências sociais disso? E o senhor acha que a nossa sociedade já absorveu as consequências sociais da internet?
Well, first of all, the internet was not a concept 40 years ago. The internet appeared as a surprise maybe in the 1970s. I mean, I remember a friend of mine was working out the first tip. Another friend of mine had the first internet communication in his office, but no one foresaw what it would become. In the meantime, what was I thinking about 40 years ago? Well, I'll tell you quickly. I was an idealist coming out of college. But I was very cynical. I thought there's no hope to change politics. It's going to stay the same. There's no hope to change the economic system. There's no hope to change education. And education is a terrible system, as we now know it, for freezing people's minds. It's a system for ruining different subjects for you until the last subject to be ruined determines your profession. Charity is hopeless because, at least in the United States, charity is defined by the tax law. So if a rich man gives $1,000 to a bureaucratic charity that is an established official charity, he gets $200 in credit from the tax system. But if a rich man wants to give $1,000 to an artist, he is fined $300 by the tax system. So this is evil. So no hope for politics, no hope for economics, no hope for education, no hope for charity. What to do? Maybe we can somehow make people smarter. This was my hope before I ever saw computers. And then when I took a computer course, I said, my God, this is it. Because on the computer screen, we can show anything in new ways that were impossible in movies, in diagrams, in completely new interactive forms. And we can create new forms of document with multiple layers, with side comments, maybe even reform the copyright system or fix the copyright system within the existing law, because the copyright law can't be changed either.
A Wikipédia não é um pouco isso? Wikipédia não é um pouco isso? Não vai nessa direção que o senhor propõe?
Wikipedia is based on, if you look up the word transclusion on Wikipedia, you'll find it's based, the Wikipedia is based on transclusion, which is my idea.
Ou seja, a web tornou possível coisas muito interessantes na internet. A minha pergunta para o senhor é a seguinte. As pessoas demoraram mais ou menos 20 anos para se acostumar a navegar com a web. E o senhor está propondo uma nova maneira de navegação, com um outro software, um outro mecanismo. Isso não vai atrapalhar os usuários?
It took hundreds of millions of people 20 years. It took 100 people a week. It took 500 people 2 weeks. It took 10,000 people a month. So it grew through adopters, through the early adopters. That's how all these things grow. It was a study in 1937, I think, of how seed corn was adopted in Iowa. And they found there were the pioneers who tried it first. Then there were the early adopters. Then there were the late adopters. Then there were da-da-da-da-da. So there's always stages by which people adopt. Some people adopt soon, some people take much later. So for 20 million people to accept a thing, 100 million takes maybe 20 years on the internet. Maybe much less. Flash got through much more quickly. So, but there's always a wedge of the intense first adopters. So I'm sure that my first market, I only want to sell to the top 1% of people.
Mas esse tipo de competição entre a web e o seu sistema não pode causar uma confusão para o usuário?
Everything can cause confusion to the user.
A situação da interatividade, da hipertextualidade vai, afinal, destruir a ideia que a gente tem hoje de direito autoral, copyright, e que tipo de modelo você acha que vai surgir daí, por exemplo? Qual é a diferença do trans-copyright para uma GPL, por exemplo? Uma licença de software livre.
Verônica, vamos explicar o que é uma GPL?
É uma licença de software livre, hoje como definido pela...
This was really the idea I had at the very beginning in 1960 or 61. I thought, if we had a system where everyone could be a publisher, first of all, I assumed the copyright law would not change, and I knew a bit about copyright law. And so that would not change. But if everyone could be a publisher, then if I make a document which quotes different documents, I would receive it on the screen and pay each publisher proportional to the pieces that were used. And this would be fair and honest. And I would receive payment each time someone used a piece of my document. I still think this is an excellent model, and I'm still working toward it, but the publishers don't understand it because they're all used to some contract that takes place before the presses roll. In fact, I've made an agreement with one publisher only so far, and this is Mr. Roberto Civita. He happens to be an old friend of mine. When I was 12 years old, he was my best friend in New York City. And I didn't know he was going to become a big publisher in Brazil. But I visited him a couple of years ago, and I explained it to him. He's very smart. And he said, okay, so Abril will will place under trans-copyright their travel articles, so that you'll be able to buy portions from Abril. Now, still the software is not ready. It's all working together. But the idea is simply that we have an honest system where anything can be freely quoted. You don't need to ask permission because the permission is already given by the publisher who places the document under trans-copyright. That means you may put out a list of contents and send that list to someone else. The person who receives the list of contents assembles the document with pieces taken from different sources, including payment to publishers where necessary. And if they don't want to pay, they don't get that piece. So it's fair, honest, open, legal. Everywhere it's legal.
Ted, nós vamos fazer um rápido intervalo e o Roda Viva volta num instante. Este programa que hoje tem na plateia Pedro Kobet, comunicador digital, e Gabriela Nardi, estudante de jornalismo. Eu queria começar pelo seguinte, o senhor diz que, obviamente, os paradigmas mudam a cada momento. Mas eu fico pensando algo que o senhor está propondo, se não é uma coisa semelhante, e queria que o senhor mostrasse para a gente efetivamente como é que isso significa, porque é difícil de explicar com palavras, né? Eu sei que o senhor tem gráficos aí. É como se se o senhor dissesse o seguinte, olha, o sistema de cidades estabelecido a partir de edifícios verticais não é bom. Vamos criar um outro sistema em que as casas estejam distribuídas espacialmente e interligadas de alguma maneira, que não sejam ruas retangulares. Não é esse tipo digamos, de desafio que o senhor tem pela frente, de propor algo tão radical?
Well, this is my idea from 1960, so it came long before the World Wide Web. And the World Wide Web simplified it because they took very simple conventions of the computer field. You see, the computer field is extremely conventional. They want you to think that they're the most go-go, exciting, new stuff, but in fact they're very locked into conventional thinking. So that the computer field is based on two major conventions, the simulation of hierarchy and the simulation of text. So that although they pretend that computers are really hierarchical, the computers are hierarchical because they make them hierarchical. And why? Because they think it's good for you. Whereas I don't believe that hierarchy is the way most people think. Everyone should have the kind of computer they want, but the options are limited because Macintosh and Windows and Linux are really all identical. They are all based on this hierarchical model of files. Documents are based upon the simulation of paper and one file per document. So this standard was created at Xerox Palo Alto Research Center in 1973 or 4, and no one questions it except me, I think. So I say let us have a completely different kind of document that allows every possible form of interconnection.
O senhor pode mostrar para nós? O senhor poderia mostrar?
Sure. Now here we are. Okay. This is my latest demonstration of software we hope will be available sometime this year. So we're reading in this particular page on the left, but as we step through, right now it's connected to this document on the right. We can step through and read this document on the right. Or we go back and we can step to another link going down in this page. If we had a faster machine, such as a teenager's gaming console, we'd be able to go much more smoothly, and we would see smooth sweeping between the documents. And by the way, if I step here to the left, we can see the whole package of separate pages. There they are, the different separate pages and all their interconnections to the pages we were looking at. So the problem is the representation of connection in all of its complexity. And this is only one possible representation, but it's a simple one, it's a spatial one, and everybody can understand it right away. So the same model could be done many different ways.
Eles não simplificaram.
As pessoas têm a impressão de que a internet é democrática, livre. Mas em uma situação de crise, como por exemplo numa guerra de grandes proporções, poderia haver uma disputa em torno da rede? E se isso acontecesse, os Estados Unidos estariam numa situação privilegiada? A pergunta é, a internet livre é uma ilusão?
Well, that's a very different question. There are so many political aspects to the internet and maintaining the internet. I happen to subscribe to an extremely fine list, the Dave Farber list, which I recommend to anyone who wants to follow internet politics. Yes, the internet is extremely sensitive. Anyone can take it down if they know how. Very fortunately, very few people know how to take it down. And the people who know aren't doing it. But the DNS servers, which translate the names to the numbers, the transmission lines, which connect the different countries, all of these are extremely sensitive. I believe it is that the different governments feel it is in their interest to maintain internet connection, even with its various costs. That is what keeps the whole system alive. It's magic. It is a magical agreement between governments that they will accept the various criticisms, the various dangers, because of the benefits of this system. I have nothing to do with this, I'm just telling you my impression.
O senhor acha que seria necessário, que passos seriam necessários para preservar a liberdade, mesmo no caso de um conflito maior ou de algo que se possa fazer?
I would love to wave a magic wand for freedom. There is no one magic wand. It means many people working to preserve freedom in different ways. If you read the Farber list, for example, there are many criticisms of the US government and all of the different tricks they're pulling and all of the different dangers that might happen to the net at different levels. Each of these people speaking up for freedom in a different way. Hundreds of different, very, very well-informed people. There's also the Risks Forum on the internet. This is another set of postings by many different well-informed people about dangers. And the more you study, the more difficult it becomes. There is no simple solution. Just as you know that in any country, there's no simple solution for preserving freedom. And sometimes there's more freedom, and sometimes there's less. I understand you've had a special pains with that in Brazil.
Rodrigo.
O Marshall McLuhan definia inovação como um ambiente de serviços criado por uma inovação tecnológica. É um ambiente de serviços que muda as pessoas, não a tecnologia. Hoje, a indústria de hardware está olhando para 1,5 bilhão de pessoas no mundo inteiro. Né? E só esse segmento da humanidade tem capacidade financeira para comprar um display, um computador para se conectar na internet. Você tem 4,5 bilhões de pessoas que a indústria não olha. O que é mais importante para essa evolução que nós estamos sofrendo no mundo que está em contínua fragmentação, uma explosão demográfica, cidades não tem mais significado da polis antiga? Essa evolução tecnológica que você está provando ou são esforços para absorver essa parte da humanidade que está fora?
I don't like the word technology, because it's very misleading. There's real technology, which includes frying pans and shoelaces, as well as airplanes. And the real technology is about how you actually need to do things, so that to build an airplane, there are certain very fixed parameters and structures. But the World Wide Web and chat and Skype are not technology in that sense. They are the individual passions and obsessions of the people who created them, translated into technical means. And so the World Wide Web is not technology, it's packaging. Windows is not technology, it's packaging. The Macintosh is not technology, it's packaging. And so each of these systems of packaging reflects the passions and hopes of their designer. As far as McLuhan is concerned, I had lunch with him once, and I tried to tell him about hypertext, and he went into his speech. He said, "The computer is unable to change its behavior in any way and always repeats its operations exactly the same." He didn't understand the computer, and he couldn't understand a word I was saying. So, wonderful man, I really liked him. But in any case, he was right about many things. And of course, when you create a new system, when you create anything new, the excitement comes from the opportunities you find. Some artist asked me the other night in Rio, what opportunities are there for artists? And I said, it is the job of an artist to find opportunities because the world does not make a place for artists. And so, I'm losing the thread of your question, but I think basically you were asking, what can we do for billions of people who want to operate now? Well, there are more and more opportunities of many kinds, and everyone chooses their own.
Mas significa, por exemplo, ter computadores mais baratos apenas? Aqui no Brasil, nós estamos envolvidos diretamente, o governo, inclusive, nessa ideia do computador de $100, que até pela questão do câmbio já não é mais $100, né? É exatamente isso, mas enfim. Como é que... É esse o caminho?
I think it's great, sure. Anything that makes it more available is great. Now, I've seen the $100 laptop, or whatever we call it. It's beautiful. It's a very, very nice job. And Kei Nishi, my friend, whose idea it originally was, he's a Japanese philosopher and computer guy, wanted it to be wind-up, which it's lost that wind-up thing, which I think is terrible, because if there's one thing you need on a long flight, it's the wind-up feature. This cheap computer will be great and will be wonderful for hundreds of millions of people. And I think this is exactly the movement we need, because every market establishes a price point and they don't build it any cheaper. So this is one of the steps. And there will be more such steps.
A sua alternativa à web, ela é planejada só para funcionar dentro do computador? Eu pergunto isso porque hoje as pessoas usam muito mais celulares, por exemplo, do que computadores, né? Ou existe talvez aí um outro equipamento que possa surgir para se adequar melhor a essa sua proposta?
What you call a computer is arbitrary. The same thing now is inside a camera, is inside a cell phone, is inside what they call a computer. So in fact, these are issues of marketing and operating systems. So for example, inside your cell phone now is an operating system which could allow regular computer software. It's just that they don't. I was talking to the people who do Symbian. Symbian operating system runs a number of the Ericsson phones, and they don't want this kind of application on their operating system. Well, so we'll go someplace else and find somebody who will. But more and more, these pocket devices, which are really computers, will be able to hold these things. But this is a marketing issue where the cell phone people wish to control it in a certain way, and Steve Jobs wants to control the iPod in a certain way, and people want to control the laptop in a certain way. So it's the politics of control as much as anything else.
Hoje a moda é falar em Web 2.0. O senhor acredita que vai haver uma Web 3.0 ou 4.0 ou ela vai acabar antes disso?
Web 2.0 is a slogan. I don't even know what it means. I don't think it's any different.
É só conceito de marketing?
Há um momento de desenvolvimento cultural, de entendimento do público das possibilidades da rede. Dele não se relacionar com a rede como você se relaciona com um jornal, com um ponto para você puxar a informação, mas para você se rearticular as suas relações, tanto sociais, quanto econômicas, quanto políticas.
I'm not sure I understand the question. Do you mean
Eu quero dizer que aqui no Brasil, com certeza, enfim, metade das pessoas que usam a internet como você usa uma revista, um jornal, e não para um meio, como um ambiente onde você pode expandir a sua base de relacionamento, reconstruir a sua base de relacionamento, porque a web é uma nova arquitetura sobre o globo, que permite novos movimentos, novos tipos de relacionamentos, novas estruturas de negócio. Isso, eu entendo que a Web 2.0 não é um passo de tecnologia da web, do conjunto da tecnologia. Esse avanço vem ocorrendo geometricamente, mas as pessoas começam a entender que a internet é muito mais do que um ponto para você armazenar e distribuir informação. Que a internet é web.
I don't know.
O senhor falou há pouco,
Deixa
eu voltar um pouquinho para a web tal como ela foi criada. O senhor critica o modo como ela foi criada, porque é muito simples, simplificaram as suas ideias e tudo mais. Mas naquela época, na década de 60, eles não foram obrigados a fazer isso, porque a tecnologia não era suficiente.
88 was the web.
Ok. Eles não foram obrigados a fazer isso porque a tecnologia não era capaz de entregar a sua interface, porque não havia recursos financeiros para produzir uma interface como a sua?
No, not at all. I could have done this 40 years ago with a different interface. The fact that we can do a sexy 3D interface now is just an additional candy on top.
Mas naquela época era bem mais difícil, ou não?
It's always been hard, but the difficulty isn't about cost. It's about persuading the programmers to do it your way. You see, software is like a movie, but in movies you have a director. In software, every programmer wants to do things a different way. And getting them all synchronized is very, very difficult. Either you pay them and fire them if they don't do what you say, or you persuade them to do it a certain way, as in the open source movement, and which I have to do with my programmers also.
E o senhor trabalhou como consultor para grandes empresas como a IBM, por exemplo, com uma grande capacidade de persuasão. E por que elas nunca adotaram a sua tecnologia ou a sua visão de como a web deveria ser montada?
I think I only consulted to IBM on 2 weekends in 1976, and what they wanted to know was, is there something to this personal computer business? They were, at that time, they were watching Apple create the market. You know, I actually thought that IBM was suppressing the personal computer. I thought it was a conspiracy. They didn't have a clue. They couldn't imagine such a thing. And so 2 different consulting companies, hired me to come for a weekend and discuss with other people about personal computing. And it was really IBM paying, they said. And they were just completely confused. They had no idea. So afterwards, they imitated the Apple and called it the IBM PC. So anyway, that was the only consulting I did to IBM. To persuade these companies to do a thing my way is extremely difficult. And while I know many such people, everyone in the computer field has a different passion.
E o senhor não perde o entusiasmo, nem a expectativa de que a sua pregação dê resultado.
You see, I represent truth which comes from above.
Como pessoa que pensou o futuro anos atrás, eu queria entender um pouco como é que o senhor está imaginando esse futuro 10, 20, 30 anos à frente. Que novas palavras vão surgir, que novas tecnologias. Eu sei que o senhor não gosta muito dessa palavra tecnologia, mas qual a sua ideia de futuro hoje?
I haven't the slightest idea. I'm very pessimistic about the future. But on the other hand, I've been very surprised to see the world coming together, and to see that people from all cultures today are much more sympathetic to one another than I would have expected.
Apesar das guerras religiosas, por exemplo?
Yes, but CNN, and especially, I have to be clear, I believe the World Wide Web has done more for human understanding than all the religions in history. Even so, I don't like it. but I believe that it's achieved a great deal.
A história hoje é ligar pessoas. O senhor imaginava isso anos atrás? Quando eu estava pensando em interligar conteúdos, pensava também em interligar pessoas?
I don't know about connecting people. To me, documents are a way of connecting people. I write something, you read it. You say, oh, this guy is a fool, or I want to meet him, or something. And that's the way literature has always worked. So literature, to me, is the central concept. Literature means all the documents and media that we create and how they're distributed. And it's a tremendously powerful system, and that's what I understand and see connecting. Now, email is a separate thing. Chat is a separate thing. Second Life is a separate thing. All of these are different forms of connecting people that I understand less about.
O senhor se notabilizou, por estar trabalhando sempre com inovação, se notabilizou pela criação também de novas palavras, novos termos que ganharam o mundo, hipertexto, hipermídia, um deles. Mas tem outros talvez menos conhecidos, que talvez sejam também muito interessantes. Por exemplo, o Dildonics, que representa aí a união dos brinquedos eróticos com a eletrônica e hoje pode ser até manipulados pela internet. Eu queria que o senhor voltasse um pouco no tempo lá e nos contasse como foi a criação desse termo, por que achou importante, enfim.
Well, it was an obvious notion. I met a guy in San Francisco who was selling a piece of equipment which was a big audio speaker connected to a piece of feminine equipment. And he said that he was bringing great joy to women with this in San Francisco churches. And I thought this was an amusing enough story that I published it, and the word Dildonic seemed appropriate. But in these areas, this is a complex area in that there are legal problems much more than there are technical ones.
Vamos fazer mais um rápido intervalo e nós voltamos daqui a instantes com o Roda Viva, que hoje, como é um programa gravado, não permite a sua participação. Mas quando nós estamos falando aqui o tempo todo em internet e em web, você pode, pela web, apesar da objeção do nosso entrevistado, mandar o seu e-mail. O endereço está aí na telinha, www.tvcultura.com.br/Roda Viva. Nós estamos vivendo aqui um paradoxo. Nós estamos fazendo um programa de televisão falando de internet. A televisão é provavelmente o mais importante meio de comunicação do planeta, embora talvez o rádio tenha mais alcance do que ele, né? Mas a internet vem crescendo tão rapidamente que ela ameaça o futuro da televisão, no sentido de ser esse meio tão poderoso e tão de cima para baixo, onde o Brasil inteiro, nesse momento, está assistindo esse programa e todos os telespectadores têm milhares de perguntas para fazer e eu digo aqui, infelizmente, como o programa está sendo gravado, você não pode fazer a sua pergunta. E mesmo que essa pessoa fizesse a pergunta, né, dificilmente teria condições de colocá-la em debate, porque há mais 8 integrantes aqui dispostos a perguntar para o senhor. A pergunta que eu faço, então, em nome dos telespectadores, que eu suponho que tenham essa ideia, porque essa é a minha função aqui, é a seguinte: o que o senhor acha que vai acontecer, digamos, com a internet e a televisão? A internet mata a televisão?
First of all, let me say a little bit about television. My father was a young actor before the war, and then after the war, he came to New York in 1947, 48 or 49, and went into television, which was just beginning. And he became one of the principal directors of live television in the so-called golden age. And I got to sit behind him in control rooms when I was 12, 13 years old and see the birth of a new medium. So that's one of the things that gave me a sense that media are created. New media come about. And watching the medium grow and change, even in a few years, from the very great hopes we had for the idealistic hopes we had for television, thinking it would educate, thinking it would elevate the intellect of everybody, and seeing it gradually decay into the lowest mental denominator, all of this made a deep impression on me. So now, when I saw the computer, it seemed to me, okay, here's a new medium. Movies were invented, radio was invented, television was invented, this will be invented, whatever we're going to call it. But it's the most general medium because the computer is a completely blank machine. It does not have a purpose, it does not have a fixed mode of operation. It is only what people decide to make it from their own mentality. And it's like a Rorschach test. And so those of us who came out of media thought it would be for new media, and they started talking about so-called convergence. But there was no convergence. There's still, on the computer, we still imitate paper, we still imitate movies, we still imitate radio, and there's no convergence, except Xanadu is one of the exceptions where I'm trying to bring them together. Now, will television be destroyed? I don't think so, because there's a fixed system of delivery.
Desculpe, o YouTube não é alguma coisa que ameaça a televisão? Na medida em que qualquer pessoa pode produzir o seu vídeo e, portanto, do jeito que a televisão faz ou não?
Well, what a terrible idea. You mean ordinary people could make television too. What a terrible idea. Of course they can. And the fact that distribution has been restricted to the privileged few is one of the unfortunate things. I've always been in favor of self-publishing. My great-grandfather published his own books of poetry. My grandmother published her own novels. And I've always published my books not because I couldn't find a commercial publisher, but because I wanted to publish my books. And the computer makes possible self-publishing to an amazing degree, and the YouTube now does that with video, which was more difficult because of the channel requirements and so on. But still, most of it is junk. This is Sturgeon's law. Theodore Sturgeon, the science fiction writer, someone said to him, but 90% of science fiction is junk. And he said, but 90% of everything is junk. So that's Sturgeon's law. And it means that a few wonderful things will be seen, which would not be seen otherwise, and then people filter through the junk.
Na verdade, o que acontece é que a audiência da televisão e até de outros veículos de comunicação, por exemplo, as revistas, jornais, vem caindo e a audiência da internet vem subindo de uma forma assustadora, ao ponto das pessoas passarem a viver online. Você tem hoje comunidades como Orkut, como MySpace, até o próprio Second Life. Né? Esse não é um tipo de migração de uma nova geração que nasceu online, que vai abandonar a televisão e os outros tipos de mídia para tornar a internet, na verdade, a sua bandeira, a sua mídia preferencial?
Apparently. I don't understand MySpace at all. Apparently it's just for teenagers. I don't get it. But yes, these are new ways of being. There's no reason that the existing publishers can expect to go on making the same amount of money they used to make in the old days. It's going to change. The world is always changing, just the way the church doesn't make as much money as it used to make. All these things will change. And there's no trying to hold on to it, but the question is what can be salvaged and what is of the greatest benefit for everyone.
O senhor se referiu há pouco sobre o browser, né, o navegador, como um desses limites aí que enquadram o uso que as pessoas fazem da internet. A gente poderia também falar um pouco dos buscadores agora, quer dizer, todo mundo usa um só buscador. O senhor poderia dar exemplos, por exemplo, de iniciativas que já existem, que estão aí talvez ainda em escala pequena, mas que apontam para essa internet mais criativa, mais aberta, mais interativa que o senhor sugere?
Well, first of all, anyone can create a new program for the net. There are thousands, if you go to sites like, well, I don't know what yours would be, 2Cows or download.com. I believe there are many, many sites that have software created by individuals. And some of these imitate old software, and some are attempting to do new things. But having it catch on, this is very difficult. So it's the marketing, the sales of these ideas that is the difficult part. Because anyone can create something new. There are thousands of new initiatives. Also at SourceForge, which is the open source place, there are hundreds of thousands of projects people have begun. There are thousands of projects that people have finished. And there are a few projects people use. So it's always like that. The problem is you can create something, but finding the place to make the cut, to point the gun, finding a way, the entrance point that really works, this is the difficult part. This is where Berners-Lee succeeded. This is where Google succeeded. They made brilliant choices that simplified. And so Google simplified, and for years it was free with no advertising. Now many people are worried. The World Wide Web was extremely simple in its first form, and then the browser, as invented by the two kids in Illinois, gave it its present form. So it's impossible, absolutely impossible, to predict what will succeed. It was impossible to predict that the internet would succeed. People say it was developed by the United States Defense Department. That is an absurd simplification. The Defense Department put money into thousands of projects, not knowing which ones would succeed. And the internet was exactly that.
Desculpa. Você acha que o projeto da web semântica, em que as buscas vão poder trabalhar com o sentido dos termos e os significados, vai acontecer, e se isso não vai fortalecer ainda mais mecanismos como o Google, e se em algum momento não será necessária uma política para tratar da operação desse tipo de serviço no mundo? Porque embora você tenha uma diversificação enorme de canais, você tem uma centralização grande de filtro de informação.
This is just an opinion, but I think that the semantic web is a hopeless idea because it requires everyone to use the same concepts. And we all have different concepts. And we may use the same words, but your use of the word is different from my use of the word. And the semantic web attempts to steamroll over that and pretend it can all be made regular. So my position has always been to be able to reflect exactly the differences of opinion, rather than to pretend that we agree.
O senhor acredita que o seu sistema de navegação possa tornar a navegação pelos documentos da internet mais fácil? Queria saber que ideias o senhor tem ou como o senhor acha que pode ser facilitado também o uso do computador. Bill Gates, por exemplo, fala dos comandos de voz, da colocação de comandos de voz para tornar mais fácil a relação homem-máquina aí, né?
First of all, the machines we have, Windows, Macintosh, Linux, are all based upon the file systems that were created in the 1970s, overlaid by the candy of the Park User Interface, or PUI, which is Windows and Wastebasket and desktop and clipboard. So this evolution of the computer created a frozen concept, which I think is much too difficult for most people and very inappropriate for most of the things. It's inappropriate for anything I want to do, okay? And I think I'm enough like other people that many other people will have difficulty.
Como torná-lo apropriado, então? Como torná-lo apropriado?
Well, first of all, okay, there's much more to my system than I've shown you. I have a database structure called Zigzag, which is intended in a later version to allow you to keep track of people and places and money and ideas and publications and all of these things in a unified whole. So a database preloaded with the structures that most people want to keep track of. There's a program called Quicken that helps you keep track of your money. I want to make this a Quicken for keeping track of everything.
O desktop do Google não faz isso? O programa desktop do buscador de desktop do Google não faz isso, de certa forma?
Everyone is trying to do things in a different way. I can't show you mine, so I can only say maybe, but it'll be different.
Você considera os blogs uma forma de literatura?
E eu agregaria o seguinte, o blog não é um pouco isso, num certo sentido que o senhor imaginava, quer dizer, existe várias máquinas de busca de blogs assim, que tem 58 milhões de blogs associados. E se digitar lá a palavra, sei lá, poesia, vai aparecer tudo aquilo que foi falado sobre poesia e escrito sobre poesia em 58 milhões de blogs, se 58 milhões de blogs escreveram sobre isso. Quer dizer, não é um pouco do que o senhor faz e muito de algum tipo de literatura?
Com 99% de lixo?
Com 99% de lixo.
People talk about the difficulty of information overload. I had information overload as a child going to the library, going past a newsstand. I wanted to read every magazine. How is it different now? It's just that other people noticed it. There was always information overload, but most people were immune. Now it's much more in your face. Well, too bad. So yes, we want to find ways to search that are appropriate for us, and yes, it's difficult, and there is no perfect answer.
O senhor ficou conhecido por criar termos novos. Na sua opinião, só é possível avançar o pensamento humano criando novas palavras para traduzir novos conceitos?
If you create a new concept and try to use old words, it's very difficult. If you try to create a new word, it's also very difficult because people don't accept it. It's not just that I create new words, but I think I'm good at creating words that people will use.
Mesmo que o uso que essas pessoas vão dar a essas palavras não sejam aqueles originais nos quais o senhor pensou, como no caso do hipertexto?
That's a problem.
Qual é a última palavra que o senhor criou? O último termo que o senhor criou?
I don't know.
Agora, o senhor menciona digamos, esse esforço o senhor menciona, não, o senhor realiza esse esforço de mostrar o caminho diferente. É mais ou menos como se um carro que estivesse, entre aspas, na contramão dissesse, não, todos os outros carros estão na direção errada e eu estou na direção certa. E a associação que me vem à mente é uma associação bastante interessante, que é do Esperanto, a língua universal. Quer dizer, do ponto de vista lógico, o Esperanto faz todo sentido. No entanto, nenhum de nós aqui fala Esperanto. Tem alguma coisa a ver uma coisa com a outra?
Well, of course, there's the problem of promotion of marketing. Esperanto failed, and before that, Volapük. Don't forget Volapük. So creating a new language is pointless when we have so many already. The fact that English has become a worldwide standard, many people think this is American imperialism, but look at it this way. It means everyone else in the world only has to learn one more language.
O inglês é a web das línguas.
Yeah, you could say.
No seu currículo, aparece aqui outros pontos da sua carreira, o fato de que em 1957, ainda no colegial, o senhor dirigiu, escreveu e fez as canções do que era aparentemente, está dito aqui, o primeiro musical de rock, Tudo e Nada. 1957. Eu queria saber se o senhor ainda tem relações com rock and roll.
No, I mean I play the radio now and then.
E ao mesmo tempo, logo depois, em 59, o senhor escreveu e dirigiu um filme de meia hora, uma comédia, né? Ainda também antes de se formar. Todos esses caminhos o senhor abandonou em função do trabalho teórico?
Well, I haven't abandoned films, I've just postponed them. It's what I like best. And my father was finally a film director, and I wanted to do that too. It was the only thing the only work I ever really enjoyed was making movies.
Agora, ainda na provocação, também a sua biografia menciona que o senhor tinha, quando jovem, um distúrbio de atenção, né? E a pergunta é, isso tem a ver com o seu estilo de trabalho?
Well,
essa
I
coisa
think a lot of people are like that.
Sim, eu sei, mas eu digo essa coisa de fazer 20 coisas ao mesmo tempo, ou de pensar 20 coisas ao mesmo tempo.
Yeah, well, my mind works very fast, and unfortunately, I tend to forget what the main thing is.
Nesse trabalho que o senhor está fazendo, todo esse desenvolvimento de uma nova forma de trabalhar na internet ou de acessar os documentos na internet, eu queria saber, além dessa evangelização de uma nova forma de acesso, o que o senhor está fazendo, ou alguma empresa com qual o senhor seja vinculado está fazendo, para que isso se transforme efetivamente num produto e que isso possa efetivamente vir a ser utilizado no mundo real e venha, enfim, disputar o mercado, né?
Well, I put all my money into this software, which we hope to have out in the world very soon. I'm not working with any other company because I'm not interested in trying to persuade them to do it my way. I do it my way without asking anyone.
Queria saber como o senhor entende a web, se é uma nova infraestrutura ou é uma nova mídia, comparável a jornal, rádio e TV. Para mim parece maluco essa comparação. Se o senhor, e também como é que o senhor entende a sociedade da informação, a sociedade do conhecimento. Nós estamos saindo da era industrial, onde a base da infraestrutura é energética, e agora estamos partindo para uma nova fase da humanidade, com um mundo muito mais fragmentado, num processo de disrupção contínua. Como é que o senhor entende esse processo, rapidamente?
Well, the web, I see the web simply as a lot of simulated pieces of paper that point to one another. And what that means for the economy of the world and for the new information world, well, no one would have predicted 50 years ago, no Marxist would have predicted that now in the 21st century we have extremely cheap, high-quality goods and few jobs. Like, there are fewer jobs in the United States than we used to have. People with college education are now serving hamburgers at McDonald's. And so it's this very strange paradox of a vast amount of fantastic quality goods, mostly made in China, and a hollowing out of the economy. So the world is changing in ways we just cannot predict. And I don't know that any economists predicted the present situation. And certainly no economists know what's going to happen next, because nobody knows what's going to happen next in any area.
O senhor prega uma interface que seja muito fácil de entender, inclusive em situações de emergência. Mas para ilustrar para o telespectador, eu gostaria de perguntar para o senhor se existe alguma coisa no mundo real que seja fácil de entender em 10 segundos no caso de uma emergência. Existe alguma coisa, alguma situação?
Actually, yes. 15 years after I wrote that rule, that you should be able to understand something in an emergency in 10 seconds, I had a fire in my kitchen in the rented house. Here's a fire extinguisher. I've never used or studied a fire extinguisher. I look at it.
Nem na escola? Na escola o senhor nunca passou por uma simulação dos bombeiros?
No such thing. So I looked at it. What are the choices? Only one. Pull the ring. I pulled the ring. What are the choices? Push the button. The fire was out. That's great! Now, why can't we design software like that? And the answer is, we can.
O seu software o senhor considera tão fácil de usar que em 10 segundos, numa emergência, uma pessoa consegue saber o que fazer?
Yes.
Esse que o senhor acabou
Not
de nos
yet.
mostrar?
This is a prototype.
Muitos
Not all the functions, but the basic functions.
Muitos especialistas dizem que esse tipo de coisa hoje é feita pela Apple, no iPod, por exemplo, ou no Google na internet. E essas empresas são tidas como benchmarks de inovação. O senhor acha que realmente elas entregam isso tudo e elas são inovadoras para o senhor, ou o senhor vê um conceito de inovação um pouco mais amplo do que esse?
Well, they don't promise anything. They just put stuff out there. No. Apple is a very special case. You see, I believe that software is a branch of movie making and has to have a director. But most software doesn't have a director. Look at Windows. Look at the Macintosh. Macintosh has a director. Steve Jobs is a movie director of a very high level of talent. He doesn't invent. He doesn't come up with the ideas, but the ideas are brought to him, and he says this and that. And he knows exactly, he has the taste and judgment. And that is why the Macintosh is so much smoother. And that is why the iPod is so much better than all the other players. And the technical guys who keep trying to design another player don't understand because they don't have a director. And finding a director of that level of talent is very difficult. Now, Google is a separate operation, and they don't believe in directors, but they have them. What they do, they hire only, quote, engineers. But each engineer has initiatives or works on a project, and then that project, such as Google Earth, either is easy to use, or Gmail, easy to use, or it isn't. And why is it easy to use? Because it has a director who understands what's needed. And so, in the software field, they do not understand how to design software. This is my view.
Nem o Steve Jobs.
Yeah, he does.
Então o Macintosh seria
He doesn't design it, but he polishes it.
Ok, mas o Macintosh então seria uma alternativa mais ou menos nessa linha que o senhor está falando.
Yeah, very much so.
Mas o senhor disse no começo da conversa que Macintosh, Linux, Windows são tudo a mesma coisa.
The same structurally.
Ok.
They have the
então é uma
desktop,
questão
the
de
waste
imagem, na verdade. É uma questão de imagem.
Yeah, the image, exactly. It's so much better, and the ease of use is so much better.
O senhor certamente foi educado, como todos nós aqui, né? Temos alguma diferença de idade, mas não tanta, numa escola que o computador não existia. Né? Sequer o computador existia, e hoje nós temos um mundo com a internet, com o computador, com N formas de comunicação possíveis, e a escola continua deixando isso de lado. Na melhor das hipóteses, ela permite que o aluno leve o seu laptop, se é que ele é um aluno que tem um laptop, e utilize isso como um instrumento adicional de comunicação. Em que medida o senhor acha que é possível surgir novas formas de pensar, como aquelas que o senhor apontou lá há mais de 40 anos, dessa garotada que não tem, vamos dizer assim, o computador integrado à escola? Ela surgirá fora da escola?
Well, usually yes. I've seen that computer games appear to be some kind of excellent training for the mind. I know one person who's now 20. I remember when he was born, and I've watched him grow up doing nothing but playing computer games, and he's very competent intellectual. So I've been surprised to see that even with that complete focus on the games, that he is a decent human being. And so I have some hope from that side. But to expect the schools to adapt, what do schools teach us that's relevant to life? Almost nothing. See, I believe that it would be very easy to fix education, but not with the existing buildings, people, or curricula, or administration. So it's politically impossible.
O que o senhor aprendeu na escola? O senhor? De relevante.
In high school, in grade school and high school, almost nothing. In college, I fought the curricular system to study the things I thought were significant. And by doing that, I got an integrated education that would have been impossible if I'd obeyed the rules.
Você acredita que a educação à distância que existe hoje em dia é uma mera reprodução dessa escola que não funciona, na sua opinião, ou ela de alguma maneira pode ampliar os horizontes dos alunos?
The perspective taken by the educational system, I think in all countries, is fixed. And so if you make it near or far, it doesn't change. We have a curriculum, you're expected to learn this and this and this and this. You're not allowed to follow your interests, and you're not allowed to integrate it on your own. And I think this cannot change within the existing educational system in any country.
Como o senhor adaptaria a sua tecnologia de navegação pela internet a um sistema educacional?
Well, let me take it a little more generally. I proposed a new kind of school, and that is one where this could be a legal high school in the United States. You give the student a list of the things that must be learned, and a system of resources where they can pay funny money to different people who offer to provide the education. So we combine allowing the student to follow their interest with the fun of shopping. Now people will learn. But in no way in the existing educational system can students exert initiative. They must obey. So the women are pretty good at this, excuse me, but the guys, the only way they can exert initiative is drugs and violence. They want initiative. If that initiative could go into learning, maybe there'd be a lot less drugs and violence, but the existing educational system, as defined throughout the world, does not allow it.
A sua principal crítica em relação à web e aos computadores é que o senhor diz que há uma imitação do papel. Quer dizer, o mundo do papel é repetido, né? E o senhor cita o fato de que, por exemplo, os processadores de texto e aqueles sistemas que reproduzem o papel dentro do computador são tão populares. No entanto, vendo o esforço que o senhor fez para criar o Xanadu, aquilo não é a reprodução da literatura, da escrita, que na verdade é anterior ao papel, porque já se escrevia em cima do papiro, não é a lógica do raciocínio por escrito, do manuscrito, enfim?
But a sentence is not on paper. It hangs in the air. Paragraphs hang in the air, and their connections could hang in the air without necessarily being made into a rectangular format. That's the point. You see, the paper restricts connection and arrangement into sequence, and in the paper simulations of the computer, you can't write on the margin. This is terrible. So it's like simulation of paper under glass.
Quer dizer, o senhor está, na verdade, propondo uma espécie de livro no computador, não o papel de coisa, porque no livro a gente pode escrever à margem.
Well, book again is the old model. I simply say a hypertext, meaning a text which can have any form, and of generalized interconnection. So in what I was showing before, anyone could write marginal notes on anything on a separate document, and they could be separate marginal notes, paragraphs in the air, or all on one paper simulation, but connected sideways. So.
Mas a imitação do papel, ela não se dá porque o papel, os livros, as revistas, são soluções excepcionais para um problema prático da vida humana? de aprender, passar informação, se informar, não é uma solução excepcional?
Paper was introduced at the court of the Emperor of China 2,000 years ago, and we have found created many traditions for mapping our ideas to it. But I say, why do we need that? Why do we need the rectangle? Why do we need the numbers in the corner? In Adobe Acrobat, the numbers in the left corner and the right corner. Why?
Talvez para limitar, para te forçar a pensar, para te
You
forçar a
be
editar.
limited. I don't want to limit people.
Senhor, uma das coisas que se fala, enfim, é que a internet, os computadores, toda essa nova tecnologia permitiu que pessoas que tivessem uma ideia numa garagem colocassem aquilo à disposição e outras pessoas adotassem.
E ficassem bilhardários.
Enfim, como o senhor mesmo disse, o Google, eles não prometem, eles fazem. O que impede o senhor de colocar as suas ideias, enfim, à disposição das pessoas? O que impossibilita isso? E se a sua ideia seria colocar isso através, por exemplo, do que já existe, por exemplo, dos navegadores que já existem, ou seria um acesso totalmente diferente? O senhor talvez o senhor seja mais crítico do que um fazedor?
I wish to be a maker. Now, for 40 years, I've had many problems getting this adapted. So this is the 5th major attempt. And always there were the political issues that cut it off. So that's the main point.
Última pergunta. O senhor tem 70 anos, é isso?
69, whatever.
69, ok. Perto disso. O que que o senhor, o que que o senhor não fez?
Ask me in 30 years.
Não, o que que o senhor não fez e gostaria de fazer como produção intelectual, como desafio? Porque é evidente pela performance que o senhor teve aqui nessa 1h30 que o senhor é uma pessoa inquieta.
No, I want to make movies again. But I want to make a new kind of movie, just as I want to do a new kind of writing. See, what Xanadu allows is parallel structures, parallel documents. Well, I want to make parallel movies where the viewer can cross over and make choices. On the internet, even on the internet, the movies that they show are only sequential. Why? So why do they imitate paper? Why sequential movies? Why don't we move into the 21st century, or even the 20th?
Seriam os games.
Mais parecido com games.
What's a game? If a game is something you enjoy, leave.
Ok. Queria agradecer muito a sua participação aqui, agradecer aos nossos entrevistadores, a você que está em casa e convidá-lo para estar aqui no Roda Viva na próxima segunda-feira, 10h40 da noite. Uma ótima semana e até lá.